Hi everybody, it's K.E.Y KC and welcome back to my channel. Thank you again for watching and tuning in. So this military moment special is a part 2. So if you missed part 1, please look in the link below to view part 1. So part 1, I'm giving you guys an inside look and a perspective from my baby cousin, who isn't a baby, but he's my baby cousin, Airman Bailey, who just recently graduated basic training and tech school. So he's currently in a holdover status, and we'll get to that soon enough. So during this time, before he leaves me and goes back home to see our family, why not take advantage and get his perspective from someone who just joined? And so for me, for you all who haven't seen my first military moment video, I joined back in March 2006. So that's almost 11 years ago. I cannot believe it. And so with that being said, why not get the perspective from him? So the disclaimer though is his answers are solely based off of him, himself. He does not, his answers and my questions do not represent the United States Air Force as a whole. We do not speak on anybody else who wears this uniform or that's even in our career fields. This is solely just our opinions, our perspective. So now that we done got all that out the way, let's get to it. So now this piece of it is going to be focused on tech school. What is tech school? So basically, after you complete basic military training, you go off to a technical school that basically teaches you your job every day, or what you're going to be doing or what you could be doing when you get to an active duty status or permanent party status. Let me say that. Each job is different. And so for me, I am a 3SO X1, and that is a personnelist, and that's human resource management. And so my cousin is a 3P or 3 Papa 0X1, which is security forces. And so his tech school is at Lackland Air Force Base. And so it has such a negative connotation, I think, for his career field. Even to the point where when he was getting ready to join, I was like, do not become a cop at all. You can do any job. Don't be a cop. And so just seeing him transitioning, I'm so proud of him. And I just see him like maturing more and more. And I just hear him with that cop lingo, the way he carries himself and everything. And I think any job at this point, especially wearing this uniform, is a good choice to me. It's what you make of it. So let's get all of that out the way. So let's get into it. So we already said what your job was. So did you want that job?
Not at first. Just based off the civilian side of what I think of cops, and just in general, I didn't really want to be a cop. But I mean, it's not that bad so far.
Okay.
I guess.
Okay. Was tech school hard for you?
It was challenging as far as the actual learning the job goes, because it's a lot of pressure to stay in, as far as, you know, because we have PCs, which are basically tests, and if you fail, you kind of get held back for a week. So it's a lot of pressure, but it's challenging more than being hard.
Okay, that's a good answer. What was the most challenging part in your opinion, if you had to pick anything from your tech school experience? And so I'm putting him on the spot, so he doesn't even know really what I'm going to ask.
Most challenging part is probably the test, because I don't know, it was more, it's a lot of pressure to learn stuff in a short amount of time.
Okay.
You basically have a week to learn things and then apply it and show that you know what you're doing, or, you know, you basically fail. You gotta try again. So that was probably some of the hardest parts about it.
So one question I've been receiving a lot on the first video I did was about dream sheets. So tell me about a dream sheet. What did you put on your dream sheet?
For the dream sheet, I just put one thing, which was Italy. And I mean, it's basically a dream sheet. The Air Force is gonna put
It's a dream.
The Air Force is gonna put you where they need you, but since I'm going to South Korea for my first base, I got my base of preference. I didn't think I was gonna get it, but a lot of people told me I was gonna get it, and I got Italy.
So let's just back up for a little bit. So a base of preference or a dream sheet. So dream sheet, you basically tell the Air Force, where would you like to go? The challenging piece on that is because again, this kind of bleeds into my career field where I have to have some knowledge on it. Timing is everything. So you could want to go to a certain place, but if the military has or the Air Force has already fulfilled those requirements for that certain base, then you may not necessarily get picked up during that time. The other key piece is your job. Certain jobs cannot go everywhere. There are certain jobs, there are certain career fields where they can only go to maybe 4 or 5 bases. So you could put Italy all day long, but if your job is not out there at all, that they don't have a mission at that certain location, then you may not be able to go there. So when you're picking your job, it's very key that you know where can I be stationed at. So for me, when I joined back in 2006, my first base was in Portugal. My second base was in Italy. My third base was San Antonio, Texas. And so with my cousin being able to get something on his dream. So again, like he said, he put down Italy, but he got Korea. So Korea and Portugal, the thing that they have that's very alike is they are considered short tours. Where if you're at a location for 12 to 18 months, it's considered a short tour where you do have a base of preference. But again, that's also a dream, because if let's say you put down something and they've already fulfilled that requirement, they're going to try their best, but you are at the top of the list to get that requirement. So again, it depends on a lot of things. There are a lot of things that come into play. So that's a lot of that. So tell me about recycle. That seems like the the naughty word, the curse word in tech school is recycle. So tell me about that.
So recycle in tech school, we call it being washed back, but you basically, if you mess up, if you get in trouble, you fail a test, or if you get injured, you're basically going to get washed back, which is basically, they're going to put you on a totally separate team that doesn't really progress in training at all. You kind of just sit there, you wait, you do details, and until you get on another team. And it basically kind of sucks because nobody wants to just stay there longer than they need to be.
Did you ever get washed back?
No.
So I did. And I don't think I ever shared that information with my cousin. I want to say my second to last test, I failed that last block test is what we called it when I was at tech school in Keysler. And I failed about one question and I was devastated. And it just so happened that there was a class that wasn't necessarily a week behind, but they were a couple of days behind, but it would push me back a week. And so I got held back a week. Now my young, dumb butt didn't care because I had a boyfriend that was still there. So it was like, okay, I get another week with my man. But it was embarrassing to say the least. However, the instructors, military individuals, like they talked me through it. On my father's side, my grandfather had passed away, and I found out during tech school. So it was very hard for me to get through that, so to speak, and process everything. So during that time, I had one of the best MTLs I think that the United States Air Force ever employed, and that is, at the time, it was Sergeant Hartson, who's now a captain. So he crossed over. And so for me, that gave me motivation to actually want to be an MTL because of the way that he took care of us. We had the longest marches going to school, and he held us down. And to this day, I remember our Jodies, the things that we had to say. Shout out to the 335th in our marches and stuff. So did you have an MTL that held you down that you kind of looked up to, so to speak?
Yes.
Who was that for you? You can say his name.
Sergeant Smith.
Okay, so tell me why did Sergeant Smith fit that bill for you?
I mean, he just puts in a lot of work to make sure everyone on his team gets what they need and what they're trying to do. Like he sacrifices a lot. He puts in a lot of work. People don't give him all the credit because it seems like he's just messing around, but he really does sacrifice a lot for his team. A lot. That's what basically every MCL should be doing. What they're gonna be doing.
Hey, so. Let them know. It's one of those. It's not easy. And so I think the characteristics that Captain Hartson and Sergeant Smith have in common is being human, having that human factor and knowing what it is to be an airman and a young airman and also being relatable.
Yeah.
And so I remember the first time my cousin could use his phone or had time to use his phone in tech school. The first question he asked me was, did I know his MTL? And that guy was super cool and held him down. So shout out to both of our MTLs. And they are, sometimes it's one of those, the people that you come in contact with that make you want to put that uniform on. And I know that that's who Captain Hartson was to me back then. And I'm pretty sure that that's who Sergeant Smith is to my cousin. So that was just a little sidebar. So any advice? Is there any advice you would give any airman that's going through tech school on that tech school piece?
So tech school, I mean, just don't get into too much trouble because, you know, they're gonna get that freedom. And basically all my friends, they went out, they partied, they spend money every week, but every week you always find out that somebody's getting in trouble, whether it's alcohol or any other crime and stuff. It doesn't matter with, you know, where you're at. So I mean,
make good choices.
Yeah,
definitely make good choices, because if you get in trouble, there are measures that they have in place to kind of make sure that the airmen stay committed and that they buy in. And one of those is pulling what we call 341, which is a disciplinary report that you have in basic training. So I know when I went to tech school, I was like, we still have these. So did you ever get a 341 pulled?
Tech school?
Tech school.
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah, this little stuff.
Child, I didn't know. So I didn't. No, I did once. I did once for a room inspection. But, okay. So let's talk about holdovers real quick. So a holdover, basically, once you've graduated, if there is a reason why you can't get your orders or you cannot out-process or something happens, you are considered a holdover. You're being held over. And it's a number of different reasons why this can happen. So my cousin is a holdover. So he had to wait. And so now he's getting ready to go ahead and depart and go home. And so we won't go into details about that. But as far as a holdover, what was the feeling that you had? How did you and your team feel? Because it wasn't just you that went through it. It was a lot of you all that went through it. What was that feeling that you went through?
Everybody was stressed about it and just highly disappointed because, you know, you don't really think about being a holdover. Like, no one really tells you about it. It just kind of happens, and it's annoying that you graduated and there's like, you still can't leave. Like, you did everything you were supposed to do, but because of how the way things are, you just can't leave. So, I don't know. You just have to deal with it. At the end of the day, you're kind of getting paid to do nothing. So.
Exactly. What was the best advice that your cousin gave you when you was going through your holdover mess?
Yeah.
What'd she tell you?
You're still getting paid.
You still get a paycheck. It is one of those, and I'm telling you, and the only reason why I can say that to him is because I went through something very similar when I was deployed. It was one of those, I was away from my loved ones, and I was with the Army, and for the first couple of months, all I did was shred paper. And at this point, I'm an NCO. And so I was very upset. I'm like, really? This is what you give an airman to do who's still learning their job, who can't do whatever, who needs supervision. You don't give this to a non-commissioned officer. And so the best advice I got from my spouse was, if the United States Air Force wants to pay you today to shred paper, you better be the best paper shredder that they've ever employed. And so after a while, it was one of those, how do I keep my cousin encouraged? And it took me back to that piece of advice that I was given, which was, at the end of the day, you're still getting a paycheck. Does it suck? Absolutely. But you're not the only person who's going through it, and you're not the only one who will go through it. We went through it back in 2006, and I'm pretty sure years from now, when you're now in my seat, saying 10, 11 years or whatever, they're still going to have holdovers, because again, it's one of those, it's things that happen that's beyond the person's control. So I say that to say, if you become a holdover, stay encouraged, stay busy, be involved. You may not be able to go to school, but you can CLEP. CLEPing is free. So fortunately, his holdover status was not long like other individuals that came to me that were my troops that were holdovers for like months. And so the best thing is just occupying your time and your mind. And don't get caught up in how the crowd feels. What are your final thoughts? Tech school.
Tech school.
Did you make more friends in tech school than basic?
It's about the same for me though.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, tech school is pretty cool. Like transitioning from like BMT to tech school, because it's like it's just freedom at that point. It kind of falls on you to do what you need to do. But it's fun at the end of the day, especially the security forces. It's like it's hands-on training. You get a lot of, you get to shoot, you get to, do combatives. So it was pretty fun.
You like being a cop?
I mean, I'm not a cop yet.
Oh, he ain't earned that yet. Okay.
But,
So do you like your career field? You like your choice?
So far, it's pretty good.
I think with any job, it's going to have its pros and its cons. And the only thing that the military is required to do is to give us an opportunity. And that's what they did. And so what you make of this opportunity is up to you. And for me, I know that the best relationships that I've made, I would not have made them without this uniform. To have benefits, to be able to provide for my family, hands down, I give it to this uniform. Does it have its days where I'm like, why am I doing this? Absolutely, but I think that's any job that you do. And so they say less than 1% actually have the privilege of wearing this uniform. And I'm just so honored and proud that I have a relative that is currently serving with me. So we have an older cousin. Shout out to who? Who's our cousin that was in the military?
Vincent?
Shout out to Vincent, who was in the Navy. And shout out to our grandfather, who also was an airman. So with that being said, that is it. So unfortunately, my cousin is leaving me this week. And I know that he is super excited to go see our family before he heads off to Korea. And I'm super duper proud of you just to see the man that you have transformed into right before my eyes. I know I give that to the military, and I'm just so proud of you for making this choice, cuz.
Thank you.
So until next time, this is K.E.Y KC. Thank you for watching. Please comment, subscribe, like. If you want my cousin's digits, hit me up. I got you. Until he gets a girlfriend, I got you. Do you see this handsome young fella? I got you. I got them. I got you. All right. See ya.